when you vote for president, you don't really vote for president.
It's not a conspiracy, Brandon. It's the Electoral College.
Let's go back to the beginning. The founders of the United States had some serious shell shock after getting bullied by King George and his taxes. They believed in democracy, but not necessarily allowing the people to directly vote for president.
When you say people, you of course mean land-owning white men. Yeah. The founders like Alexander Hamilton were afraid of voters could get swept up by a bunch of lies, false promises, and a big personality, and accidentally elect a tyrant. So the founders wanted a safeguard. In the Constitutional Convention of 1787, a bunch of ideas were floated, including letting Congress elect the president. The southern states specifically wanted credit for having a larger population, even if those were mostly non-voters.
AKA slaves.
Because those spoiled white slave owners got whatever they wanted, the convention settled on a system they made up.
So here's literally how it works. On election day, you get a ballot. Although that ballot may show the list of names you fought on Facebook about all year, what you are really voting for in the fine print is an elector. The number of electors a state gets is equal to the amount of congressmen they have. A total of 538 distributed roughly based on population, thanks slave owners, but weighted in the favor of the smaller states. As a result, the smaller the state you live in, the more your vote matters. So, congratulations, if you live in Wyoming, your vote matters substantially more than in California.
In each state, whichever candidate gets a majority of the vote gets all the electoral votes. So there is literally no difference between a win of 99% or 51%. That person still wins the whole state.
Aside from Maine and Nebraska.
Obviously. This creates a situation called swing states, where only a handful of states actually move the needle left or right. The vast majority of candidates' attention and resources go towards moving the large minority of people who haven't made up their mind by November. From a state which has opinions like New York or Alabama, too bad.
Too bad. Also, some bad news. It may be 2016, but not all American citizens can vote. If you live in the territories, even though all 4.4 million of you outnumber Wyoming, Alaska, Vermont, the Dakotas, and Delaware combined, you can't vote. But some good news, if you moved abroad to anywhere else in the world, you 6.3 million people can vote by mail. Or if you live in space, you also can vote. Just make sure you don't accidentally land your ship in poor Puerto Rico.
After Election Day, the winning electors, usually retired politicians and friends of the party, hop on their horses and have until the Monday after the second Wednesday of December to get to their state capitals. There, they are asked to cast ballots for the candidate they were sent there for. But as a buffer from the real people, electors can vote for whomever they want. Although this has never swayed an election, 87 times in American history, one of these friends of the party has gone rogue.
Then, after celebrating the winter solstice, each state sends a messenger on horseback to Washington, D.C., where on January 6th at 1 p.m., a joint session of Congress reads the electors' ballots out loud. In fact, 3 times in history, because the sitting vice president was running for president, they had to announce their own loss.
But thanks to America choosing a round number, in the very rare case of an Electoral College tie, the House of Representatives gets the vote on the president, and for the VP, they can pick whomever they want. Each state gets 1 vote, so California and Delaware are equals. Basically, voting, it sucks to be in California. Once all the votes have been counted, the Electoral College disappears on the wind to join its family. Electoral colleges of November's past. And a new Electoral College will be reborn in 4 years.
With a few modifications and much fewer horses, this system has remained unchanged since the founders came up with it. Even though it was developed for 13 states, with only 6% of the population actually being eligible to vote in the first place. Want to change it? Well, you would need 3/4 of Congress to agree on it, and basically the small states would never, ever go along.
But vote?
Oh yeah, still definitely vote.